As always, there's a lot going on down at the Tennessee Aquarium. If you haven't heard about your summer-long season pack, Tom Benson's going to be along to tell us about that. And here he is right now. Tom Benson, good morning. You were here yesterday.
That's right.
Yesterday was Tom's
Early
birthday.
morning.
Nobody ever said a word about it, so happy belated birthday.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome to the older demographic. What have you got here this morning?
Well, we've got a couple of marine invertebrates, sea creatures that you might find on one of your beach trips, especially if you like to do some tide pooling.
Sure.
And these are creatures that are very cool, and they're part of our educational programs.
Oh, wow.
This is a pencil urchin, and if you looked very closely, and you can see him moving just a little bit, he uses tube feet, sort of like the sea star.
Right.
And those pencil spikes are used for protection, and we'll see if we can get them to do something pretty special here. Sometimes they'll actually grab a hold of your finger because they close those up and will actually use that to hold prey while they're eating them.
Oh, wow.
And these guys are found typically in the shallows. We've got a new movie coming up on Friday at our IMAX theater called Oceans 3D, Our Blue Planet, that really has some very colorful sea creatures and takes you into the depths of the ocean, whereas these guys are going to be in some of the shallower waters, a little bit closer to shore.
What happens if you step on one of those?
It would be painful,
You'd
right?
know it in a hurry, wouldn't you?
You know, again, just like we talk about with our stingray shuffle, as you're walking into the surf, you might want to shuffle your feet. And again, this new film is spectacular. It's put on by Ocean X Media and the BBC Planet Earth folks. And just gorgeous cinematography that looks so fantastic, and IMAX with laser on that 6-story screen. Really takes you from the shallow oceans where dolphins and coral reefs are abundant to the really deep stuff. We've got new technology and new vehicles like this submarine that can really take you a half-mile or deeper to explore some of these vent communities where methane gas is actually bubbling up from the bottom of the ocean.
And when you get into depths like that, you're talking some serious hardcore water pressure.
Absolutely, and so you notice how that vehicle was sturdily built, and most of the exploration of the deep, and there hasn't been a whole lot of it, has been in very specialized vehicles and remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, where they don't have to have a human counterpart. Very tough construction that can go into those depths. But this is just one of those films, Chip, where it's going to be, you know, you're immersing yourself in the ocean. There's some surprises in here, like the tuskfish, who uses a coral head as a tool to break open clams. And we have an opportunity to explore some of the interface between water and land, where you see sea otters and also walruses and polar bears, and some really tender moments there with a mother walrus and her pup. And then go into these coral reef communities, which only exist in about 1%, less than 1% of the entire ocean's bottom. But they're very special places because that's where more than 1/4 of all marine life lives. So
1/4,
very important places. So we got the chocolate chip sea star here, which Chip Chapman.
Thank you very much.
Meet Chip.
That's right.
The chocolate chip sea star. And aptly named because it looks like he's got chocolate chips on his back, which help defend against predators. And then on the bottom, those purple rows are thousands of tiny tube feet, and they use kind of a hydraulic action to move across the bottom. And actually these guys move fairly quickly. Before we got on the air here, you could see him kind of roaming around this bowl of seawater that we have.
How many of these do you have on display down at the aquarium?
Well, these guys are kind of our animal ambassadors, so we do have a couple in exhibits, but mainly these guys serve the purpose of giving kids an opportunity to get really close to these creatures in some of our daily programs. And we take these to summertime during libraries to visit students during summer reading programs, and during the school year, they visit schools within 120 miles of downtown Chattanooga. Bill Haley, our outreach educator, does a great job visiting schools and libraries.
This is just, I'm intrigued by this pencil urchin here. Same story for him? Is he one of the outreach animals?
He is, yeah, and so he's going to travel around and visit schools and come out in programs like this, where we bring a cart into one of the gallery spaces at the aquarium, and guests of all ages can get up close and ask questions with our animal experts. And you can see, if you look closely, he's moving those pencils around.
He is. He certainly is. And again, this would be kind of painful if you were to step on him. So when you're walking through the shallow waters of the open,
it's best to shuffle your feet, because again, stingrays tend to hide in the sand, and you see that at our touch tank where they bury themselves in the sand. But if you shuffle your feet, they'll feel that vibration and move out very quickly ahead of you.
Don't know if you saw any of the news reports from yesterday, but one of the networks was reporting that there were some sharks that were seen just off Myrtle Beach. I mean, really close to Myrtle Beach. And that's not a big surprise, but it is when you see them in person.
And they're chasing bait fish. And so one of the things that is always recommended if you're down during your summer break, enjoying a vacation on the beach, is try to avoid those twilight hours. You don't really want to be in the water during the low light levels, because sharks do have a fairly decent visual acuity, but it's limited somewhat by the daylight. And so they're going to do something like bite first and see if it's something edible if they bump into it. Most times we're not on their menu, and so they'll spit it out, but still that could be a big problem because it's going to be a serious injury. So we want to avoid those daylight hours, and if you're doing something like fishing, you certainly don't want to be fishing in the surf. A few years ago there was a young man who was bitten on the leg, but it was my understanding that he had a mesh bag with some shrimp that he was using for bait on his belt, and that was in the water, and so the shark was following that scent trail right to him.
Only a minute or so left, so tell us about the $90 pass we have to look forward to. Good for the whole summer.
All the way through 31st of May, you can go to any Food City location and ask for the Food City Summer Pass. It's $90 for unlimited visits to the Tennessee Aquarium for 2 adults and up to 5 children or grandchildren. So you get a lot of opportunities to use that between now when you purchase it and Labor Day.
That is a bargain that's hard to beat. And where can you get these now?
Any Food City location in Chattanooga, Cleveland, or Dalton.
All right, sounds good. Tom, happy belated birthday again. Thank you for bringing the critters in, as always. Wow, unbelievable. You can find out more about these and the other great animals the aquarium has to offer. Check out the website. It is tnaqua, tnaqua.org, tnaqua.org. Hang in there. We're going to go from one wildlife to another coming up next here on Let's Chat.